Welcome to our final Indiewire session series. It's going to be a great one, I think. We have Xavier Dolan, director of Mommy, and then Sam Rockwell and Lynn Shelton from Laggies here. And we'll just jump right into it. I would like to introduce Peter Knecht from Indiewire, who will interview the first session with Xavier. And I'll let Peter actually introduce Xavier.
Thank you. I'm happy to be up here interviewing Xavier Dolan, who's the director of Mommy and the star of Elephant Song, both playing here at TIFF. Welcome. How's it going?
Fine. You? It's working? It's not working.
Is it not working?
It's not working. It is?
Is this working?
Is it? Hello? Hello?
So welcome back
Just
to
project. It's fine.
welcome back to Toronto. You literally
Thank you.
came here straight from the airport.
Yes.
So congratulations on making it.
Congratulations on the slutty outfit. I'm sorry. I feel naked.
I don't think anybody minds. Maybe talk about the two films.
So many holes in that.
You're here with two. You're here with two films, and not just Normally you've come here as a writer and director of your own work, but you also are here as an actor in a film called Elephant Song. So maybe talk about, just to start things off, about both Mommy and Elephant Song, and for anybody that's not in the know, why they should go see them.
All right. Well, so Mommy is my fifth feature film, and is a sort of reunion with Andor Val, who was my mom, and I Killed My Mother. Although the two movies are completely opposite, they have nothing in common. It's still, the mother and son bond, which I wanted to, go back to, I guess. Well, I never really left it. It's always in the movies somewhere, but in my movies, I mean. But yeah, so it tells the story of Diane, actually, who is this very energetic, feisty widow, single mom. There's a lot of adjectives for only one person, but she is suddenly burdened with the full-time custody of her behaviorally disordered. I don't know if that's politically correct to say it that way, but behaviorally disordered child who is expelled from a correctional facility center, and she inherits his custody, and she has to make ends meet, and she tries to bring him up the best she can. And she is graced with the help of this strange neighbor with a stutter, is how I'm going to describe this character, who's named Kyla, and who's a new girl across the street, and who offers her help in a benevolent manner, and they just they become friends, and it lasts as long as it can until shit hits the fan. And why should you see it? You should see it because
You don't have to say why. I mean,
okay.
You should all see
All right.
it. Like, it just should be assumed at this point. But yeah, an Elephant Song.
Elephant Song is a movie about how I'm not able in English to pronounce the word elephant. There's something, the emphasis is not right. I mean, I've been really struggling with pronouncing that word. Anyway. So Elephant Song is the story of, I guess, a patient in a mental facility who wakes up one day and there is this psychiatrist that's missing in action, and the only person to actually know where this man might be is this very arrogant, manipulative, very far from who I am character, Michael, who starts, manipulating everybody and telling them, I know where he is, but you will play this game by my rules, and I will eventually lead you to where this psychiatrist is. And it's just a mind of games, and it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of blows my mind that you're very prolific. You make on average a film a year, with the exception of 1 year over the past 6 years, and then you still make these 5 amazing films. Then you have the time to go act in someone else's film. I mean, what made you decide that you wanted to do that?
Well, decide. I mean, I've started this almost I want to say career, but I think it's life as an actor. I was 3 or 4 when I first acted, and it's just what really interests me in directing movies anyway is directing actors and working with actors and understanding acting and either acting with them or directing them. I'm still acting with actors even though I'm not on screen. I'm behind the camera and I got the video and my assist in my hands, and I'm like hiding like a rat and I'm like giving them notes like that and talking to them constantly. So it's like it's a constant interaction with actors. So what made me want to do, I mean, it's a great part. I think it's very expansive. It's very it's a generous part. It's fun. It's sort of the bad guy. He's described as having lots of charisma and lying and making fun of everybody. And it's a playful, I guess, role. But I was shooting Mommy right before the shooting of Elephant Song started, so I wrapped the first part of the shoot for Mommy, and then went to Elephant Song like 2 days later.
I just don't know how you find that energy.
Me neither. That's why I had a nervous breakdown that spring.
Well, here's hoping that that's your final nervous breakdown. So let's go back to Mommy. I mean, you talked about working with actors, and Andrew Val and Suzanne Clement, who are you've already given these amazing roles in a couple of your films, are incredible in this movie. It's a really testament to not just you, but to their talents as actresses. They're both incredible. So maybe you just want to talk about your working relationship with Suzanne and Anne, because clearly you guys seem like you get along.
We do. Well, I've known Anne and Suzanne forever. My relationship with Anne constantly moves from mother to friend to sister to, and then sometimes I'm like her father taking care of her or whatever. This is maybe unfathomable, but it is true. And so we have this very rich relationship where I've spent so many hours, so many days at her place around Christmas. Her children always leave to their father's cottage in the country, and I always like sort of move in her house, and we watch movies and we just go to New York or whatever. It's been like this forever. And Suzanne, I'd say it's basically the same thing, although they don't have they have different lives. And they believed in I Killed My Mother and believed in me. I had no experience at all, no credibility as nothing when I did when I brought up I Killed My Mother to them, and they still endorsed that and embraced the whole thing. And it was it was a sort of shitty indie film. When we were shooting it, I mean it was sort of okay. That's what it is in the end, I hope. But what I mean is that they were very comprehensive and they embraced the whole thing. And then we've shared great memories. Our first Cannes together at the Directors Fortnight, and they just inspire me. I'm gonna write. I don't only write parts for these women. I write movies. For them. I can hear their voice. I know them, and I think that what's really challenging me and challenging them is that we share a common desire for things that are extremely far from what they've done and themselves. And since I know them so well in real life, it's I think it's cool to write. Well, not cool. That's a dumb word, but I mean I think it's challenging for me and them to write roles that bring them somewhere else, and where we can on set say, no, here I can recognize you, and here you did that, and here I can see your little eye thing, and it's just, and then we watch the whole thing, and we are satisfied with the conviction that they truly went somewhere else. I think that any director has the ambition or dream of hearing someone say, oh, that actor in his movie, we've never seen him like this before. It's sometimes you can achieve it, sometimes you cannot. Depends on the movie, I guess. Depends on the actors. But I think that's sort of our that was our goal with Mommy. That Anne would be completely different from her mother part in I Killed My Mother, and that Suzanne, who we've seen in more Latin hysterical performances, would be a little less, you know, well, would have a stutter and be neurotic and would not say a word.
Yeah, I mean, and that all worked out exactly the way that you wanted it to.
Thank you.
And you know what I have to say with Mommy, you talked about going to Cannes. You went to Cannes for the first time when you were 19 with I Killed My Mother.
Yeah, 20.
20? Oh, sorry. Anyway, you're 25 now, and you've made 5 feature films, and I feel like, you know, there was, you know, not to be offensive, but like, like people were apprehensive to give you a certain kind of respect because of your age, I feel. And I feel sincerely that with Mommy, that changed. You know, you went to Cannes, blew everyone away, you won an award, and now you're coming here with Toronto. Like, how does it feel? Like, do you feel like you had to prove something, and that with Mommy that kind of finally came into fruition?
Yes. Yes, it's, you know, it's I read all of the reviews. You know, since the very beginning, I've read all the reviews for my movies. I collect them in huge scrapbooks. No, I don't. But I mean, I read them all. I'm interested in what people say, and I cannot count the times that I've read very negative reviews and that it's been highly, you know, educational and very, you know, that I actually, you know, found things interesting and thought, oh, maybe I should change that or adjust that or whatever. But some of them are also extremely hateful towards, I'd say, not the movies themselves, but me. And I know that for some people I have no credibility because I'm young and I guess people think I'm brash and you know, whatever. They have this idea of me, even though they've never met, and they just base their opinions on short filmed interviews where they think that's who he is. But you know, really, you can't really tell, you know, who someone is, you know, before you've met them. But my movies are also so personal that I feel like the people, you know, hating my movies would be people hating me, sort of, because I put so much of my privacy in my personal stories in my movies that's how I feel. But with Mommy, yeah, I've read some people finally writing reviews in a tone and in a fashion where it doesn't read off anymore as someone is correcting my homework, you know, giving me a tap on the shoulder and saying, "Congratulations, kid." So, and that's great. And you know what? I'm just back from Telluride, and it was. Can I talk about it here? We were like 25, and I was like the baby, and I was looking at everybody, and I was like, thank you for making me feel like I belong in a community of people. And you know, directors were not condescending towards me. They were not like, because it happened in the past. You know, these famous or infamous dinners where you sit and there's a dumb napkin in the shape of a swan or whatever, and you are with 3 sponsors and 1 wife and 1 useless uncle or whatever, and because you're not cool enough to be, you're not hot enough to be at someone else's table, and they don't know who you are, and you're like, and it's just it's awkward, and I don't know why I started to tell that story about the table and the swan napkin and
Mommy
everything.
is letting you sit at the big boys table now, and that's what you've always wanted.
I'm sitting at a cool table now. I'm happy.
Maybe it's time to open this up to the audience, right? There's some right there. All right,
Should I choose?
yeah, you choose.
Oh no, really?
I don't know. Right there in the second row. You have to stand up first.
I was just wondering, because you've been working so quickly, how long does it typically take when you have an idea for a new movie to arrive at a draft that you're ready to stand behind and take to camera?
Well, empirically speaking, you know, based on, let's take like Mommy. You know, Lawrence anyways took like 3 years to write. Mommy, I heard this song from Ludovico Einaudi. He was a great composer, and a friend was like playing outside. Was like, "What is that song? It's great. I love it." And by hearing that song, I wrote. There's a dream sequence in Mommy where the character of Di sorts of foresees dreams the life that she'll never have. And it's a sort of, you know, flash forward. And this is the first scene I wrote because I heard that song. And then I wrote the script all around that, that sequence, that precise sequence. But I'd say that happened in May, that I wrote the first scene. So May, 20. What year is this? 2014.
It's 2014. Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. I
Last
know that.
time.
I know that. I'm not. I know that. It was in 2013, and the script was ready in July. We submitted the script to TIFF in Canada, and we were shooting in October. And it's always been sort of like that, writing scripts in the summer. Because when you're back from a festival, you're like, oh, there was this huge void. You go home and you're like pressing buttons of the alarm system, and then there's the silence, and then the anxiety, and I feel like I have to, I sort of see what's coming, and when there's nothing, I'm like, and I'm sort of worried that I have nothing to do or nothing to create, or that I'm sort of waiting in between, shootings. So, I would say 6 months until it's shot, and then with the post-production, obviously, it's a little less than a year, maybe 8 months.
Other questions? There beside the person who just talked last time.
Thanks. I understand the intimacy of like putting part of yourself into your own writing and then bringing that to the screen. Do you ever consider that you would be interested in exploring how to bring that level of depth as a director to somebody else's story?
Yes. Sure. I've been submitted some scripts. Some of them were good. I just couldn't commit because I was already shooting something else. But should a script, read off as interesting and would represent a sort of challenge for me to, I guess if I related to anything, or if I could foresee in a script the opportunities of surpassing myself and working with inspiring actors, and then yes, I do it. It's a matter of this is what you were asking, right? If I would direct other people's scripts, yeah. Oh no, sure, yeah. I'm not. I write about things that I know and that I've lived so far, or that I think I know. But motherhood, mother and son bond dynamics, unrequited love stories. These are all fields where I feel like that I can have a solid foundation to a script and then add the fiction. But if I read a script that seemed compelling and varied, I would do it. Sure.
We have time for one more.
Really? This is really short.
Right, sure.
Give long answers, actually.
Hi, Xavier. Ça marche? I just wanted to say, well, I have a question, but I would also want to say that I love the fact that you're a great filmmaker that also does LGBT films. You're a great filmmaker first, and you just have characters that happen to be LGBT, like in life. And I was wondering, I love the film Lawrence anyways. And I'm also working on an LGBT sex farce that I'm going to shoot in Quebec that also has a transgendered character. And I was wondering, how did you research Lawrence anyways? Quelle sorte de recherche que
You're
t'as
not going to
fait?
like my answer.
Oh.
Thank you first. Thank you very much. This is a sort of debate that's ongoing with the fact that you are gay doesn't mean that you're doing gay movies, and vice versa. Anyway, thank you for mentioning that. The research was not very thorough. I wanted to tell a love story. I know Lawrence anyways is not really appreciated by the transgender community because it's, first I did not give the part to a real transgendered woman. There's this already. I never really considered, this, or never really wanted to hurt, anyone's battles or disrespect their battles, their fights over the years, and disrespect that community. I didn't feel like I needed to underline in felt tip, thick felt tip pen all these endeavors and have the famous, lipstick in the mirror scene, and I just so I didn't feel like I had to do that, a lot of research. I met with one transgendered. I met with one woman, who gave me the Coles notes of her own, journey to become a woman. But that's basically it. I wanted to know very practical things like the fact that hormones will never affect your voice. You can affect it, but you can change it, but the hormones will not make your voice more feminine. That is something that seemed relevant at the time, for the actor to know what he had to do. But then it was a love story, really. And it's not that I'm coy or about these things. It's that I believe in a filmmaking, in an approach in filmmaking when it comes to LGBT themes that doesn't stress anything and that doesn't that doesn't claim anything. I believe in it being a part of of society and part of the story and not to be in the background, but just to not be up front so much. It's not a documentary about transgendered people. It's the same way that a character is not defined by his homosexuality. I think that's really important. So I did not do a lot of research for Lawrence, anyways.
I like that you're not preachy, but it just is. It's part of life.
It is part of life. This is the way we were made. They were made. This is it.
I agree.
And I think, do we have time?
Yes.
Do we? One more. Okay, great. One more. I think that you were first in the back there. Yes. I think someone's
You can
coming
just
with-
yell.
Someone's coming with one.
Hi, thank you. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As an actress in Toronto, I'm really interested in finding out from you your casting process for your films. Since you're from Quebec, is the casting done there? Do you have anything Toronto-based? Just looking, I would love to work with you in the future. Just putting it out there.
Okay. All right. Duly noted. I've mostly cast all my movies myself without casting directors.
Oh,
I
okay.
write with people in mind. Also, I've been doing dubbing forever. This is mostly how I would spend my teenage years, dubbing movies in French. And a lot of actors who only do dubbing movies for whatever reason, sometimes it's their own personal choice, sometimes it's just life that was made that way. So I love to give them little, gigs here and there in my movies because I think, that it's fresh to see new faces and discover some people.
Yeah.
But I will, in general, write mostly for people that I know or people whom I admire and want to work with. But I'm in the midst of casting an American movie right now, and I'll definitely be working with casting directors because there are like 700 parts in it. It's crazy. It's going to be very long. I mean, the movie.
Thank you.
But I would cast in Toronto eventually, I guess. So who knows? Who knows? That was a weird accent. Who knows? Who knows? I may. Sorry.
You're starting to sound English Canadian. You're spending too much time here. Yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks so much for being here. And,
Thank you. I hope it was not awkward. Sorry.
And Mommy premieres tonight here. It's tonight at the Princess of Wales.
Yes, 9:30.
From what I understand, they're all sold out anyway.
very
so
informed.
You guys can stand outside in the rush line. And then Elephant Song is tomorrow night. Yes.
Yes, correct. And I mean, I have like 12 remaining tickets, and I'm waiting to hear from people. Or if I don't, I mean, I'll just give them in the street and be like, yay. So if you're around and
So follow him around for the next couple hours, and
That's all you have to
maybe
do.
you'll get a ticket to his movie. All right, thanks so much. Stay tuned because there's another talk happening right after with Lynn Shelton and Sam Rockwell.